Welcome to the Meet the Coach podcast. It's the end of Season 4. Wow, what an incredible journey it has been. My name is Berta and I will be your guide on this episode. We want to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for joining us on this amazing ride. We've had the privilege of hosting some truly remarkable coaches this season, and their insights and stories have been nothing short of inspiring. So, sit back, relax, and let's witness some of the nuggets of wisdom our coaches have gleaned this season of the podcast.
Given your experience, what is a leader's number one job?
I think a leader's number one job is to develop others. While they often also have that responsibility of the strategic direction and all of those other things, but to be a good leader, you need to be able to develop others, and that is growing others through on-the-job development, whether it's through external training, whether it's just through empowering decisions. Their number one job is always to grow and develop others.
And for me, it sounds like there's that moment of pause, but also taking that deep breath in, perhaps a moment of reflection, but just settle and being in the presence. Have I picked up that from you?
I think the other thing I would say is that quite often when we're busy like that, we get narrow or a bit myopic. And often what we like to do is look laterally. And so looking for the adjacent possibility is the other piece.
So for the woman that's listening to us, I mean, their ears are pricking up thinking, oh, there's a coaching method just for women. Can you give us an example of how this might work in a woman's life, in their everyday life, or a common problem that perhaps you see as a coach?
Well, with the modalities that I've used, and I've even developed something myself back in 2005, and, working on the mindset and working around that, which is fantastic, and it certainly goes in and changes people at the base level. But what I found with Creatrix, and when I was inquiring about it, why is it different? What can I expect from it? The answers were so beautiful and made me sit back and go, that's exactly what I want to hear as a woman. They're not going to change your values. They're not going to, using Creatrix is not going to change all of that is your core. But what it actually does is gives you this strength from inside that you knew you had, but you didn't know actually how to access it. Is probably the best way. Situations will still be the same. The way you react and respond will be different, but from a different level. I think that's an amazing way that I found the changes for myself, because I had done so many things, and the outcome of this was on me, but I don't even want to say a better version of me or a stronger version of me. It was far greater than that. I knew who I was on such a level that I couldn't explain.
What can leaders that are listening to this episode do, Chris, in their workplace?
It comes down initially to how the leader behaves. The biggest impact on well-being of an individual at work is the leader behaviour. Is the leader creating an environment where people feel that they can contribute successfully? Are they providing people with a level of autonomy to be able to make choices, make decisions, bring work to a meaningful conclusion? Are people feeling like the manager is trying to control them, or is the manager trying to support them grow and take effective action in the workplace? Think about it in these terms. I'm sure we've all had managers who looked and hovered over our shoulders day in and day out. How safe did we feel trying something different? How did we feel in a workplace where the leader wanted to know what we were doing every day, where the leader effectively didn't trust us to do what needed to get done? Compare that to a workplace where you've had a leader who's actually asked you to be involved in the decision-making, a leader who's asked you your opinion, a leader who's invested in you building your competence so that you could be effective at work. and a leader who created relationships within the workplace between colleagues that were supportive of one another, where colleagues felt they were part of a bigger picture, a bigger engagement than just being at work, where they were actually on a journey together to achieve a great outcome.
You mentioned hypnotherapy, which it's obviously a tool and a technique that you use with your clients. For those that are watching and listening to this episode, Sabine, can you share how you utilise hypnotherapy to help people overcome burnout?
It is one of the 3 pillars of how I work with my clients on their executive and recovery journeys to then find their success again. And it starts with mindset, because mindset is really what we need for everything mindset drives. So one of the 3 pillars, and the first one is mindset work, where we dive in the first instance into relaxation. So clients get audios from me to, in the first instance, learn to relax again, to get and help them have different thoughts that automatically emerge in their heads, rather than the tasks they have to do, things they have to follow up with, or anything that drives them or that stresses them out. So that's the first step, relaxation, getting them to sleep again, and then working through their emotions, understanding what are the first emotions and primary emotions that drive them. And then we do something that's called emotional detox, to swap out and replace that emotion, that predominant one, with a more beneficial one. And I do this through changing of colors in the mind. So
well, that's the 3 of the 4 C's. You've got me intrigued with the 4th one, which is community. Can you just tell us a bit more about that, and how does that relate, Gayle?
So this is one that I struggled to have a bit of a think about. Well, what brings it all together? And it's really simple. It's part of life. It's your community around you. It's your support group. It's your friends. It's your walking buddy, or could be a member of a local church or a charity that you're involved with. And your sense of community is not just your cheerleader. You don't want a group of people going, you're just amazing. You actually want a cheerleader, you want a challenger, you want a critiquer. So your community, and I say communities, but it's often communities, because we're all parts of different communities. So, I do volunteering for a charity. That's one community. I do a walking fitness community. All of those support me in different ways. But the absolute joy of communities is that they all overlap over time, because as you grow in that one community, is they get to know you, you get to know them, and you're building a relationship that can actually help you support you to meet whatever goal you're aiming for, whatever intention that you have set for today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Rod, let's talk about your experience, because you've got a lot of experience in coaching and in the workplace. So what are the more difficult phases of your career where coaching can actually add some real value?
Probably the most common one that people come across is starting a new job. And everybody thinks of starting a new job as, I've started a new job with another company, whereas actually it could be a sideways move. It could be a promotion. For some people these days, it might be a step down to a less demanding role, or you could literally be working with a new employer. And coaching at that point in time helps you reset where you're thinking. It's a new job, it's new KPIs, it's new objectives, it's a new supervisor. What the external coach can do is enable you to understand, how do I reset myself so that I can get the best out of it?
If weight loss can only be achieved through dieting and exercise, what's your thoughts around this?
Diet and exercises are good. They're definitely good. And I would say they carry between 20 to 25% as a goal for weight loss? First of all, I was just hearing to a podcast yesterday myself by one of the famous, world famous nutritionist, Luke Coutinho, and he specifically mentioned we should not look at weight loss, we should look at fat loss. Weight loss is so much, we are so masked by the concept of weight loss that you search in Google once, then every advertisement that comes has to do with a weight loss program, has to do with, flattening the tummy, has to do with a juice, a salad, etc. Nobody speaks about going to the root cause of why the individual has gained the weight. So diet and exercises play a role only up to 20 to 25%. But when we go back and identify, let me give you my own example. My thyroid, when it was diagnosed with my second pregnancy, I thought probably pregnancy is the reason why I got thyroid. Not until 2020 did I realize that the reason for my thyroid, me being diagnosed with thyroid, is actually the continuous adrenal stress and fatigue that I was putting myself into.
So in your experience, how does our personal health affect the dynamics of our relationships that we have with others?
It's huge. It really is. So there's a new, what's the word for it? New theme, grand thing is self-love. It's like a big thing now is self-love. And I think that's actually fantastic because especially women more than men, because they're mothering and they're nurturing in that way, they stop giving to themselves and they start just giving to everybody else. And they also find it difficult to receive. And so when you've got a partner that wants to give to you and you reject that and don't want to receive or feel bad about receiving, it impacts not only your relationship with them, but your own mental health, because you always feel like you're giving, and then the resentment builds up about the giving. So, when you change your mindset and you change your ways, so you put yourself first, you actually find that when you put yourself first and look after yourself better, you are a better person for everybody else, and it's easier to look after everybody else. And I know that firsthand. So when I went through my divorce, I decided I had to look after myself really well so that I could look after my family. Now, if I'd gone down the other road, I wouldn't have been able to look after my family as well.
Thank you to all our Season 4 coaches. Sure to see the profiles of any coaches who grabbed your attention this episode or this season. We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in and joining us on this journey. I've been Berta, and we thank you all for your support on the Meet the Coach podcast. Stay subscribed for Season 5 coming soon.